wanderer to another gentle journey with the sleeping wanderer. Tonight we're traveling together to the enchanting city of Prague, where time moves slowly through cobblestone streets, and every breath brings deeper calm. There's no rush, no agenda, just a peaceful exploration of one of Europe's most beautiful medieval cities that will carry you gently toward rest. Before we begin our restful adventure together, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, but only if you truly enjoy these sleepy travels. And drop a comment below telling me which magical destination you want us to visit next. As we settle into this journey through Prague, the city of 100 spires, let your breathing become slower, deeper. Allow your body to sink comfortably into wherever you're resting right now. Whether you're tucked into bed or relaxing in your favorite chair, know that for the next hour, you have nowhere else to be, nothing else to do, except wander peacefully through the ancient streets of this remarkable Czech Republic capital. Prague awaits us with its Gothic towers reaching gently toward the stars, its Baroque facades glowing softly in the lamplight, its river flowing peacefully through the heart of the city. This is a place where medieval magic still whispers through every alleyway, where each cobblestone has stories to tell, stories that will guide you gently toward peaceful dreams. Tonight, we'll explore Prague not as hurried tourists, but as peaceful dreamers. We'll walk slowly across the famous Charles Bridge as the moon reflects on the Vltava River below. We'll wander through the quiet courtyards of Prague Castle as evening settles over the city. We'll discover hidden gardens where time seems to stop, and cozy cafes where the aroma of coffee mingles with the scent of fresh pastries. The beauty of Prague is that it reveals itself slowly, peacefully. There's no need to rush from sight to sight. Instead, we'll let the city unfold before us like a gentle dream. We'll pause whenever we want to simply breathe in the atmosphere, to notice the small details that make this city so special. The ornate doorways, the painted house signs, the soft chiming of church bells in the distance. As we prepare to enter the heart of Prague, imagine yourself standing at the edge of the old town. The evening air is cool and fresh against your skin, carrying with it the faint scent of chimney smoke and autumn leaves. The streetlights are just beginning to glow, casting warm pools of golden light on the ancient stones. In the distance, you can hear the gentle murmur of the Vltava River, a sound that has remained constant for centuries, unchanging, eternal. Prague is a city that understands the art of slowing down. Even in its busiest moments, there are always quiet corners to discover, peaceful spaces where you can simply be. Tonight, we'll find these tranquil places together. We'll explore not just what to do in Prague, but how to experience it in the most restful, peaceful way possible. You arrive in Prague as the late afternoon sun casts long, gentle shadows across the city. The first thing you notice is how the light here seems different, softer somehow, as if filtered through centuries of history. The air carries a particular quality that exists nowhere else, a mixture of old stone, fresh bread from local bakeries, and that indefinable scent of European antiquity. Your feet find their rhythm on the cobblestones, these rounded stones that have been polished smooth by millions of footsteps over hundreds of years. Each step creates a soft, rhythmic sound. Tap, tap, tap. It's a peaceful percussion that accompanies you everywhere in Prague's old quarters, a gentle reminder that you're walking through living history, The buildings rise around you in warm shades of cream, pale yellow, soft pink, and gentle ochre. Their facades are decorated with intricate details that reveal themselves slowly as your eyes adjust to the city's particular beauty. Here, a carved angel watches peacefully from a corner. There, Art Nouveau flowers bloom eternally in stone. Every building seems to have its own personality, its own quiet story to tell. As you make your way deeper into the city, you notice how Prague seems to exist on multiple levels. Streets wind upward toward the castle, downward toward the river, creating a landscape that feels almost dreamlike in its composition. Archways lead to hidden courtyards. Narrow passages open suddenly into spacious squares. It's a city designed for wandering, for getting peacefully lost. The Vltava River flows through it all, wide and calm, dividing the city into gentle sections, while also connecting everything with its peaceful presence. You can always orient yourself by finding the river, by listening for its quiet murmur, by catching glimpses of its surface between buildings. The river is Prague's constant companion, its meditation, its breathing rhythm. Your first evening in Prague begins with the magical transformation that occurs as daylight fades. The city doesn't rush into night, but transitions slowly, peacefully. The sky shifts through shades of blue, from bright afternoon azure to deep twilight indigo. The first stars appear above the castle spires, tiny points of light that have watched over this city for centuries. Street lamps begin to glow, not harsh modern lights, but warm, gentle illumination that enhances rather than overwhelms the city's natural beauty. Each lamp casts a soft circle of golden light, creating pools of warmth in the gathering darkness. The effect is like walking through a painting. Everything softened, everything peaceful. You find yourself on one of Prague's many bridges. Perhaps not the famous Charles Bridge yet, but one of the quieter crossings. The water below reflects the lights of the city, creating a doubled world. The real Prague above and its shimmering twin below. It's mesmerizing in the most gentle way, watching the reflections shift and dance slowly on the water's surface. The sounds of the city at this hour are particularly soothing. Distant trams glide along their tracks with a soft rumbling. Church bells chime the hour in deep, resonant tones that seem to vibrate through the very stones. Conversations drift from outdoor cafes, not as distinct words, but as a pleasant murmur, a human music that adds warmth to the evening air. As you continue your initial exploration, you realize that Prague is a city that rewards patience, that reveals its treasures slowly. There's no need to see everything at once. In fact, the city seems to encourage a more contemplative approach, inviting you to pause, to observe, to simply be present in each peaceful moment. The history of Prague unfolds gently around you as you walk, not as a series of dates and facts, but as a living presence that breathes through every stone. Every corner you turn reveals another layer of time, another peaceful chapter in the city's long story, founded over 1,000 years ago. Prague has been accumulating beauty and wisdom slowly, patiently, like a pearl forming layer by layer. The city began as a castle on a hill, a fortress overlooking the river valley, and gradually, over centuries, it grew downward and outward, adding neighborhoods like rings on an ancient tree. The very beginning of Prague is wrapped in the soft gauze of legend. Princess Libouche, a mythical prophetess, is said to have stood on a rocky cliff above the Vltava and proclaimed, "I see a great city whose glory will touch the stars." She named it Praha, meaning threshold, because even in its conception, Prague was understood as a place of transition, a doorway between worlds, between earth and heaven, between reality and dreams. The earliest settlements grew slowly along the trade routes that crossed at the Vltava's fords. Merchants from all corners of Europe would meet here, their different languages creating a gentle babble that still echoes in Prague's cosmopolitan character. These traders brought not just goods but ideas, stories, traditions, all of which settled into Prague's soil like seeds, growing into the multicultural garden that exists today. You can feel this history in the worn steps leading up to the castle, each step slightly curved from centuries of footfalls. Kings and queens once climbed these same stones, merchants and artisans, pilgrims and poets. Their presence lingers peacefully in the atmosphere, not as ghosts, but as gentle memories embedded in the very fabric of the city. The Przemysl dynasty shaped Prague's early centuries with patient determination. These rulers understood that a city is not built in a generation, but grows like a forest, slowly, naturally. They established the castle in the 9th century, not just as a fortress, but as a statement of permanence, of intention to remain, to endure. The castle they began still crowns the city, though it has been rebuilt, expanded, reimagined countless times, each era adding its voice to the architectural chorus. By the year 973, Prague had become important enough to establish its own bishopric. The spiritual authority this brought attracted scholars, artists, builders of churches. The city began to develop its sacred geography, with churches and chapels marking significant spots, creating a network of holy places that still provides peaceful sanctuary today. Each church bell that rings across Prague continues a conversation that began over 1,000 years ago. The medieval period left Prague with its fundamental character, its winding streets that follow no modern logic, but instead trace the natural contours of the land, the paths that people naturally walked 1,000 years ago. These streets weren't planned. They evolved, growing organically like vines, creating the maze-like charm that makes Prague so perfect for peaceful wandering. The Romanesque period brought Prague its first stone bridge, the Judith Bridge, predecessor to the Charles Bridge, named after Queen Judith of Thuringia. It connected the castle to the growing settlements on the river's eastern bank. Though this bridge was destroyed by floods in 1342, its foundations still rest beneath the water, a reminder that Prague is built on layers, that nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed. The 13th century saw Prague grow into one of medieval Europe's largest cities. The old town received its charter in 1230, giving its citizens the right to self-governance, to make their own quiet decisions about daily life. This wasn't revolution, but evolution, a peaceful assertion of community, of the idea that people could organize themselves around common needs and shared spaces. In the 14th century, under Emperor Charles IV, Prague experienced its golden age, becoming one of the largest and most beautiful cities in Europe. Charles loved this city deeply, and his affection shows in every Gothic spire, every stone bridge, every carefully planned vista. He wanted Prague to be eternal, and in many ways, he succeeded. the city he shaped still stands, still enchants, still soothes the soul. Charles IV was more than just a ruler. He was a visionary who understood that true power lies not in conquest, but in creation. He founded Charles University in 1348, the first university in Central Europe, inviting scholars from across the continent to come and share their knowledge. The university's buildings still stand in the old town, their Gothic windows looking out on the same streets where medieval students once walked, discussing philosophy, theology, the nature of existence. The new town, founded by Charles IV in 1348, wasn't really new, but rather a planned expansion, a breathing space for the growing city. He laid out its streets with unprecedented width, understanding that cities need room to breathe, need spaces where people can gather without crowding, where air and light can circulate freely. These wide streets still provide relief from the intimate medieval lanes, offering a different rhythm, a different pace. The Jewish quarter tells its own quiet story, centuries of life contained within a small area. Jewish settlers had been in Prague since the 10th century, contributing to its commercial and intellectual life, despite restrictions that confined them to a small quarter. The old cemetery there, with its tilted headstones layered upon each other, speaks of persistence, of communities maintaining their traditions through all of history's changes. Walking through these narrow streets, you feel the weight of time, but it's not oppressive. It's comforting, like being wrapped in an ancient, soft blanket. The Hussite period in the 15th century brought reformation and conflict, but even this turbulent time contributed to Prague's character. The Hussites questioned authority, sought truth, demanded that religion speak to common people in their own language. Their legacy isn't in the battles they fought, but in the spirit of independent thinking they fostered, a spirit that still pervades Prague's intellectual atmosphere. Renaissance and Baroque periods added their own gentle layers to Prague's beauty. Under Rudolf II in the late 16th century, Prague became a center of learning and art. Rudolf was an eccentric emperor, more interested in alchemy and astronomy than warfare. He gathered artists, scientists, philosophers to his court, creating a golden age of intellectual exploration. The castle became a laboratory, an artist's studio, an observatory, all at once. The famous defenestration of Prague in 1618, when Protestant nobles threw Catholic governors from a castle window, might seem violent, but even this event has been softened by time and legend. The officials survived their fall, landing in a pile of manure, leading Catholics to claim divine intervention and Protestants to credit the soft landing. The event sparked the 30 Years' War, but in Prague's telling, even conflict becomes tinged with absurdity, with the recognition that human drama is often more comic than tragic. Palaces were built with graceful proportions. Churches were decorated with flowing sculptures. Gardens were designed as earthly paradises. Each era contributed without erasing what came before, creating a harmonious blend that feels entirely natural, entirely peaceful. The Baroque period especially gave Prague its sense of theatrical beauty, but its theater performed in whispers, drama rendered in pastels. The national revival of the 19th century saw Czechs reassert their cultural identity after centuries of Habsburg rule. But this was a revolution of language, of literature, of music, not of violence. The National Theatre was built with small donations from ordinary citizens, each person contributing what they could to create something beautiful, something lasting. When it burned down shortly after opening, they simply built it again, patient, determined, peaceful in their persistence. The astronomical clock in the old town square has been marking time since 1410, its complex mechanism still functioning, still drawing people to watch its hourly performance. But even this mechanical marvel operates with a kind of medieval calm. The figures move slowly, deliberately. There's no rush in their ancient dance. They have all the time in the world, and they invite you to share that timelessness. Through wars and peace, through empires rising and falling, Prague has maintained its essential character. The city has a remarkable ability to absorb history without being overwhelmed by it, to carry its past lightly, gracefully, like an old person who has learned that wisdom often means simply being present, simply continuing. The communist era, which ended in 1989's peaceful Velvet Revolution, added its own subtle layer to the city's story. You can still see traces of it in certain buildings, certain signs, but even these have been gently incorporated into Prague's overall harmony. The city has a way of softening everything, of making even difficult history part of its peaceful narrative. The Velvet Revolution itself, where hundreds of thousands of people jingled their keys in Wenceslas Square to signal that it was time for change, showed that transformation can come through poetry rather than violence, through persistence rather than force. Today's Prague carries all these centuries within it, not as a burden, but as a gift. Each historical period is like a note in a long, slow symphony, sometimes barely audible, sometimes rising to the surface, but always contributing to the overall harmony. The city doesn't live in the past. It lives with the past, peacefully, naturally. Every stone has been witness to something. Every street has seen centuries of daily life flow through it like water. And this accumulated experience gives Prague its particular quality of wisdom, of peace, of eternal presence. The architecture of Prague surrounds you like a gentle embrace. Each building style flows into the next, creating a visual symphony that plays out in stone and mortar. Gothic spires reach upward with quiet aspiration. Baroque curves add soft flourishes. Art Nouveau details bloom like frozen flowers, all of it weathered to a perfect patina by centuries of rain and sun. Prague Castle presides over it all from its hilltop position, not dominating, but watching over the city like a peaceful guardian. The castle complex is actually a small city within the city, with courtyards that open one into another, each one a peaceful sanctuary. The St. Vitus Cathedral at its heart rises with Gothic grace, its spires seeming to dissolve into the sky, becoming part of the clouds. Walking through the castle grounds in the evening, you notice how the architecture creates natural moments of pause. An archway frames a perfect view of the city below. A small window offers a glimpse of a hidden garden. Steps lead up to a terrace where you can rest and watch the sunset over the red-tiled roofs. The architects who built this place understood the importance of contemplation, of providing spaces for the soul to breathe. Down in the lesser town, the Baroque palaces line the streets with their gentle grandeur. Their facades are decorated with sculptural elements that seem to flow like frozen music. Angels float peacefully on corners. Allegorical figures recline above doorways. Garlands of stone flowers cascade down columns. None of it feels excessive. Instead, it feels like the natural expression of a joyful but calm creativity. The Charles Bridge, Prague's most famous architectural treasure, stretches across the Vltava with serene confidence. Built in the 14th century, it has weathered floods and wars while maintaining its essential peacefulness. The bridge is lined with statues of saints, each one different, each one watching over passers-by with benevolent expressions. In the early morning or late evening, when the crowds thin out, you can walk across slowly, feeling the solid stones beneath your feet, listening to the water flowing below. But Prague's architectural beauty isn't limited to grand monuments. Some of the most charming features are the small details. The house signs that served as addresses before numbers were introduced. A golden key, 3 violins, a blue star, each one unique, each one a small piece of art that makes navigation feel like following a fairy tale. The city's natural features weave seamlessly through its architecture. Parks and gardens appear unexpectedly, green oases of calm. Bedtime Park spreads across its hillside like a green blanket, with winding paths that lead through groves of trees, past flowering meadows, to viewpoints where the whole city spreads out below in peaceful panorama. The Vltava River itself is Prague's greatest natural feature. Its islands provide peaceful retreats from the city's energy. Kampa Island, with its park and old mills, feels like a village within the city. The sound of water turning the old mill wheels creates a rhythmic, soothing soundtrack. The trees here are ancient, their branches creating natural cathedral ceilings of green. The gardens of Prague deserve special mention. From the formal Baroque gardens below the castle to the wild spaces of Bedtime, they offer endless opportunities for peaceful contemplation. The Vltava Garden, a hidden Baroque gem, rises in terraces, each level revealing new perspectives, new combinations of architecture and nature. The Wallenstein Garden, with its artificial grotto and resident peacocks, creates a sense of otherworldly calm. Even the city's relationship with the surrounding hills feels architectural. Prague is built in a valley, with gentle slopes rising on all sides. These hills provide natural boundaries, creating the feeling that Prague exists in its own peaceful bowl, separate from the outside world, protected, eternal. The way light interacts with Prague's architecture changes throughout the day, creating an ever-shifting display of beauty. Morning light makes the castle glow golden. Afternoon sun warms the colorful facades of the old town. Evening light turns the river into liquid silver. And at night, the carefully placed lights transform the city into something from a dream. The cultural heartbeat of Prague pulses gently through its daily rhythms and timeless traditions. This is a city where culture isn't something you observe, but something you absorb, slowly, naturally, like warmth from the sun. The Czech approach to life reflects in everything you encounter here. There's a concept called pohoda, a state of peaceful well-being, of being in harmony with your surroundings. It's not quite relaxation, not quite contentment, but something in between, a gentle satisfaction with the present moment. You feel it in the unhurried way people move through the streets, in the long conversations over coffee, in the patient way shopkeepers attend to each customer. Coffee culture in Prague is its own peaceful ritual. The kavarnas, traditional coffee houses, are temples of tranquility. Here, time operates differently. A single cup of coffee can last an hour, 2 hours. There's no pressure to leave, no rush to order more. The waiters understand that you're not just drinking coffee. You're participating in a centuries-old tradition of contemplation and gentle social connection. Inside these coffee houses, the atmosphere wraps around you like a comfortable blanket. The smell of freshly ground coffee mingles with cigarette smoke and old wood. Newspapers hang on wooden frames, their pages rustling softly as patrons read. Conversations happen in low murmurs, creating a gentle buzz that's soothing rather than disturbing. The clink of cups on saucers provides a delicate percussion. Czech beer culture is equally contemplative, despite what outsiders might assume. Yes, Czechs consume more beer per capita than any other nation, but it's not about excess. It's about appreciation, about gathering with friends in a hospitable pub, about slow conversation over perfectly poured Pilsner. The foam on top of a properly poured Czech beer should be thick enough to hold a coin, and watching the bartender achieve this perfection is its own meditative experience. Music flows through Prague's cultural life, like the river flows through its geography. Classical music has deep roots here. Mozart premiered Don Giovanni at the Estates Theatre. Dvořák and Smetana composed symphonies inspired by the Czech landscape. But it's not just formal concerts. Street musicians play on bridges and in squares, their melodies drifting through the air, adding another layer to the city's peaceful soundtrack. The tradition of puppet theater might seem quaint, but it represents something deeper in Czech culture, the ability to tell profound stories through simple means, to find magic in everyday materials. Watching a puppet show in one of Prague's small theaters, you're transported to a gentler time when entertainment moved at a more human pace. Czech literature and its tradition of thoughtful observation permeates the city's atmosphere. This is where Kafka walked and wondered, where he transformed his daily observations into surreal stories. You can still visit the places he frequented, sit in the same cafes, walk the same streets. His presence is felt not as something haunting, but as a reminder that profound thoughts can emerge from quiet contemplation. The Czech sense of humor, dry and gently ironic, adds lightness to daily interactions. It's never harsh, never mean, but rather a way of acknowledging life's absurdities while maintaining equanimity. You hear it in the patient jokes about bureaucracy, in the gentle teasing between friends, in the philosophical shrugs that accompany discussions of politics or weather. Seasonal traditions mark the year with gentle celebrations. The Easter markets fill the squares with hand-painted eggs and wooden toys. Christmas brings the scent of mulled wine and roasted chestnuts. But even these festivities maintain a certain calm, a refusal to become frantic. People browse slowly, chat with vendors, enjoy the atmosphere without rushing. The Czech relationship with nature influences city culture too. Weekend escapes to the countryside are common, and even within Prague, people seek out green spaces for picnics and peaceful walks. There's an understanding that humans need regular contact with nature to maintain their pohoda, their sense of well-being. Food culture in Prague emphasizes comfort over sophistication. Traditional dishes like goulash and dumplings are meant to satisfy deeply, to provide warmth and sustenance. Meals are eaten slowly, appreciatively, often accompanied by long conversations that continue well after the plates are empty. The pace of dining here reminds you that eating is not just about nutrition, but about community, about taking time to be present with others. Prague transforms itself gently with each season, each time of day, like a peaceful chameleon that changes not to hide, but to reveal different aspects of its beauty. Right now, as we wander through the city in this eternal present moment of our journey, we can experience all of these variations, feeling how the city breathes differently with each shift of light and weather. Imagine Prague in the soft embrace of spring, when the city awakens slowly from winter's quiet sleep. The parks burst into gentle bloom, cherry blossoms, creating clouds of pale pink against the blue sky. The air carries the sweet scent of flowering trees, mixing with the earthy smell of rain on old stones. People emerge from their winter cocoons, sitting on benches in the warming sun, their faces turned upward like flowers seeking light. Spring mornings in Prague begin with mist rising from the Vltava, creating a dreamlike veil that softens all the edges. The castle appears to float above this gentle fog, its spires emerging first as the sun slowly burns away the moisture. Birds sing from the awakening gardens, their songs echoing off the stone walls, creating a natural symphony that no human composer could improve. As spring days warm into summer, Prague adopts a languid pace. The heat is rarely oppressive, instead settling over the city like a comfortable blanket. The trees provide generous shade, their leaves rustling with every slight breeze. Beer gardens open along the river, where people sit for hours under umbrellas, watching the water flow, letting time flow with it. Summer evenings stretch endlessly, the sun reluctant to set, painting the sky in gradual transitions from gold to pink to purple. These are the magic hours when the city seems to glow from within, when every surface becomes a canvas for the changing light. The temperature drops to perfect comfort, and the streets fill with gentle energy, not frantic but flowing, like a slow dance. Autumn arrives in Prague like an artist with a new palette. The trees in Bedtime Park and on Kampa Island turn to gold and amber, creating a rustling canopy overhead. Leaves drift down slowly, carpeting the paths, adding their dry whisper to the sound of footsteps. The air becomes crisp but not cold, perfect for long walks, for sitting in cafes with steaming cups of coffee. Autumn mornings often bring fog that transforms Prague into something from a fairy tale. The castle disappears and reappears through the mist. Bridges seem to lead into nothingness. Street lamps create halos of light in the moisture-laden air. It's the kind of weather that makes you want to walk slowly, to disappear into the fog yourself, to become part of the city's mystery. Winter settles over Prague like a peaceful spell. Snow dusts the rooftops, transforms the castle into a sugar-coated confection, muffles all sounds until the city seems to whisper rather than speak. The Christmas markets bring warmth to the gold squares, with their lights twinkling like earthbound stars, their scents of cinnamon and honey wine drifting through the frosty air. Winter nights in Prague have their own special magic. The early darkness isn't oppressive but cozy, inviting you into warm restaurants where windows fog with condensation, where candlelight flickers on wooden tables. The cold makes you appreciate warmth more deeply, makes every heated interior feel like a sanctuary. But beyond the seasons, Prague transforms throughout each single day, creating a continuous cycle of moods and atmospheres. Dawn comes quietly, painting the eastern sky while most of the city still sleeps. Early risers have the streets almost to themselves, sharing the space with shopkeepers preparing for the day, with bakers whose shops exhale the warm breath of fresh bread. Mid-morning brings a gentle awakening. Cafes fill with the quiet rustle of newspapers. Shops open their doors with the soft bells chiming. The city finds its daily rhythm, unhurried but purposeful, like a familiar song played at exactly the right tempo. Afternoon light in Prague has a particular quality, especially when it slants through the narrow streets of the old town, creating geometric patterns of light and shadow. The stones seem to absorb this light, holding it, releasing it slowly as warmth you can feel when you touch the walls. The golden hour before sunset transforms everything. This is when photographers appear on the bridges, when couples pause in their walks to watch the light change, when the whole city seems to take a collective breath, appreciating the beauty of transition, of one thing becoming another. Twilight in Prague is perhaps the most magical time, when the city exists between day and night, when lights begin to twinkle, but the sky still holds color, when everything becomes slightly mysterious, slightly dreamlike. This is when Prague reveals why it's called the Magic City, when reality seems just a little bit flexible, a little bit optional. Away from the well-worn tourist paths, Prague reveals its secret spaces, its quiet sanctuaries where time moves even more slowly, where you can sit undisturbed and simply exist in peaceful solitude. These hidden gems aren't really hidden. They're just waiting, patient and undemanding, for those who seek tranquility. The Franciscan Garden, tucked behind the bustle of Wenceslas Square, offers an unexpected oasis of calm. Push through the small entrance, and suddenly the city noise fades, replaced by the gentle splash of fountains, the rustle of rose bushes, the soft cooing of pigeons. Benches sit in alcoves of greenery, perfect for afternoon contemplation. The roses here bloom from spring through autumn, their perfume creating invisible pools of sweetness in the air. In the lesser town, tiny passages lead to forgotten courtyards where time seems to have stopped centuries ago. One doorway might reveal a small garden with a single bench under an ancient tree. Another might open onto a courtyard where cats sleep in patches of sunlight, undisturbed by the modern world. These spaces feel like Prague's secret thoughts, quiet and private, shared only with those who take time to discover them. The Vltava Gardens, one of Prague's oldest parks, remains surprisingly empty even on busy days. Perhaps it's the slightly hidden entrance, or perhaps the gardens themselves cast the spell of solitude. Here, peacocks wander freely, their occasional calls echoing off the old walls. The paths wind seemingly without destination, leading past ponds where golden carp swim slowly, past benches placed perfectly for watching clouds drift overhead. The garden feels like it exists in its own bubble of time, separate from the city's flow, tucked into the castle complex. The Golden Lane presents itself as a tourist attraction during the day, but in the early morning or late evening, when the crowds disappear, it transforms into something magical. These tiny houses, once home to castle guards and goldsmiths, seem to whisper stories through their small windows. The lane is so narrow that you can touch both sides, creating an intimate feeling, like walking through a miniature world built for peaceful contemplation. The library at Strahov Monastery holds not just books, but centuries of silence. The theological and philosophical halls are Baroque masterpieces, but it's the quality of quiet here that truly impresses. It's a silence so deep you can almost hear it, a silence that has been accumulating for hundreds of years. The ancient books seem to breathe slowly on their shelves, their leather bindings releasing the faint scent of age and wisdom. On Bedtime Hill, beyond the more famous tower and mirror maze, small paths lead into the woods where you might walk for an hour without seeing another soul. These paths are carpeted with leaves, soft underfoot, muffling your steps until you move as quietly as the deer that sometimes appear between the trees. Benches appear at perfect intervals, always just when your legs begin to tire, always positioned to catch a glimpse of the city through the branches. The Vltava Canal, sometimes called Prague's Venice, flows quietly through Kampa Island. Along its banks, old mills stand with their wheels still, no longer grinding grain, but still beautiful in their stillness. Small bridges cross the canal, each one offering a different perspective on the water below, on the houses that rise directly from the water's edge, their foundations wet with centuries. In the new town, which isn't new at all but merely newer than the old town, the Church of St. Cyril and St. Methodius stands quietly on Vltava Street. Its crypt holds a powerful history, but the church itself maintains a profound peace. The interior is simple, unadorned, allowing thoughts to settle like dust in sunlight. The wooden pews have been polished smooth by generations of contemplation. The Rigrovi gardens spread across a hillside, offering not just grass and trees, but a beer garden with one of the best sunset views in Prague. But beyond the beer garden, the park extends into quiet groves where locals come to read, to nap on blankets, to practice Tai Chi in the early morning. The grass here has that particular softness that comes from being well loved but not overused. Near the river, the Streliki Island provides another escape, connected to the mainland by a single bridge. It feels removed from the city despite being in its heart. The island hosts a summer cinema, but during the day it's nearly empty. Just trees, paths, and benches facing the water. The sound of the river is stronger here, more present, creating a natural white noise that washes away thoughts. The Lobkowicz Palace, within the castle complex, has a terrace that many visitors miss. It overlooks the city with a view that rivals any observation tower, but with the added comfort of a cafe where you can sit with a coffee, watching the light change over the red roofs, watching clouds cast moving shadows across the urban landscape. The terrace never seems to be crowded, as if it's protected by some gentle spell of obscurity. In the Jewish quarter, the Pinkas Synagogue's garden is a space of profound quiet, different from the cemetery next door. This garden feels alive despite its memorial purpose, or perhaps because of it. Names cover the walls, thousands of them, but somehow this creates not sadness, but a deep peace, a sense of lives remembered, honored, held gently in collective memory. These hidden spaces teach you Prague's secret, that the city's real magic isn't in its famous sights, but in these quiet moments, these peaceful corners where you can stop being a visitor and simply be present. Each hidden gem offers its own particular quality of silence, its own shade of tranquility, together creating a network of peace throughout the city, available to anyone willing to step off the main path to push through an unmarked door, to follow a narrow lane to its end. Prague's stones hold stories like cups hold water, gently, carefully, ready to share them with anyone who pauses to listen. These aren't dramatic tales meant to excite, but quiet legends that have settled into the city's consciousness over centuries, becoming part of its peaceful dream. The most famous legend tells of the golem, created by Rabbi Lowe in the 16th century to protect the Jewish quarter. But forget the monster movie versions. The real legend is more thoughtful, more gentle. The golem was made from river clay, animated by sacred words, and spent most of its existence in quiet service, carrying water, chopping wood, performing the humble tasks that keep a community functioning. It's said the golem still rests in the attic of the old new synagogue, not destroyed, but sleeping, waiting peacefully should it ever be needed again. The Charles Bridge has its own constellation of stories, each statue holding a legend. The most touched statue, that of St. John of Nepomuk, gleams where countless hands have rubbed it for luck. The legend says he was thrown from the bridge for refusing to reveal the Queen's confession, and where he entered the water, 5 stars appeared. You can find these stars in the bridge's decoration, small reminders that some secrets are worth keeping, that silence can be sacred on the castle grounds. The legend of Dalibor whispers through the tower that bears his name, a knight imprisoned for sheltering rebellious serfs. He learned to play the violin while captive. His music drifted from the tower so beautifully that people came just to listen, bringing food and comfort. The legend transforms a story of imprisonment into one of art transcending circumstances, of beauty emerging from constraint. The house signs throughout Prague each carry their own small stories. The House of the Three Fiddles was home to a family of violin makers, their craft passing peacefully from generation to generation. The house at the Golden Well speaks of hidden treasure, not gold, but the precious water that once flowed there when wells were rare. The House of the Stone Bell stood silent for centuries, its Gothic beauty hidden under Baroque additions, until restoration revealed its true face, patient as stone itself. In the lesser town, the infant Jesus of Prague resides in the Church of Our Lady Victorious. This small wax statue, dressed in elaborate robes that change with the liturgical seasons, has been credited with countless quiet miracles, not dramatic interventions but gentle assistances, small kindnesses that make daily life bearable. Pilgrims leave notes, whispered prayers, trusting this child-sized figure with their hopes. The Vltava River carries the legend of the water sprites, the vodnici, who live beneath its surface. Unlike malevolent water spirits in other folklore, Prague's vodnici are portrayed as melancholic but peaceful beings, collecting the souls of the drowned in ceramic pots, not from malice but from loneliness, seeking company in their underwater realm. On foggy mornings, some say you can hear them singing, sad songs that nevertheless soothe rather than frighten. Petrine Hill holds the legend of the Hunger Wall, built by Charles IV, not for defense but to provide work during a famine. He paid citizens to build this seemingly useless wall, understanding that charity preserves dignity when disguised as labor. The wall still stands, winding through the park, a monument to compassion disguised as stone. The astronomical clock carries its own peaceful legend. Its maker, Master Hanush was supposedly blinded after completing it to prevent him from creating another. But rather than becoming bitter, he's said to have found peace in the sound of his creation, sitting near the clock, listening to its mechanisms, finding comfort in the continuation of his work beyond his sight. In the castle's St. Vitus Cathedral, the legend of St. Wenceslas speaks of a duke who preferred peace to war, who would rather negotiate than fight. His chapel in the cathedral is decorated with semi-precious stones, creating a jewel box of quiet beauty. The door to the crown jewels is secured with 7 locks, held by 7 different officials, ensuring that power remains distributed, balanced, peaceful. The Golden Lane has its own gentle mythology. Alchemists supposedly worked here, seeking not just gold, but the philosopher's stone, the secret of transformation. But the real alchemy of the lane is simpler. The transformation of a mundane military quarters into a place of wonder, of tiny spaces into entire worlds. These stories layer upon each other, creating a mythology that doesn't demand belief, but invites contemplation. They turn walks through Prague into meditations on time, on transformation, on the way stories settle into stones, and stones hold stories. Each legend adds depth to the city's peacefulness, suggesting that every corner might hold magic, every shadow might shelter a story. The beauty of Prague's legends is that they don't shout for attention. They wait quietly, like the city itself, for those who are ready to listen, to believe, or simply to enjoy the gentle possibility that the world might be more mysterious, more magical than it appears. As our journey through Prague begins to slow, like a river approaching a peaceful lake, we find ourselves drawn to the city's most restful spaces, those places designed not for doing, but for being, for settling into stillness, for letting the day's explorations transform into tonight's dreams. The evening is deepening now, and Prague is preparing for its nightly transformation into something even quieter, even more peaceful. The tourist energy dissipates like morning mist, leaving behind the true city, the one that belongs to dreams and whispers, to soft footsteps and distant church bells. We make our way slowly toward one of Prague's many parks, perhaps Kampa Island, where the grass invites you to sit, to lie down, to feel the earth's solid presence beneath you. The trees here are old, their branches creating a natural ceiling, a living cathedral of leaves that rustles gently in the evening breeze. Each breath you take here seems deeper, fuller, as if the trees are teaching you their patient way of breathing. The benches throughout Prague deserve special mention. They're placed with such thoughtfulness, always where you need them, facing interesting views or peaceful corners. Sitting on one now, you feel how the wood has been worn smooth by countless other peaceful moments, other people who paused here to rest, to think, to dream. Your body settles into the bench's gentle curve, finding the perfect position without effort. The sound of the Vltava becomes more prominent as evening deepens. The river never sleeps, but it does seem to speak more softly at night. Its constant flow becomes a meditation, a reminder that everything moves forward, everything changes, yet somehow remains essentially the same. The water that passes now will reach the sea, will rise as clouds, will fall as rain, will flow through Prague again, an endless cycle of peaceful transformation. lampposts begin their nightly duty, not all at once but gradually, as if each one is waking slowly from an afternoon nap. The light they cast is warm, golden, nothing like harsh modern streetlights. These lamps understand that darkness has its own beauty, its own necessity. They provide just enough light to feel safe, to see the path, but not so much that they disturb the night's natural peace. We find ourselves in one of Prague's quiet squares, perhaps a small one that tourists rarely discover. The buildings around us glow softly in the lamplight, their windows beginning to light up from within, creating a patchwork of warm rectangles against the darkening facades. Behind each lit window is a life settling into evening routines, dinners being prepared, children being read to sleep, couples sitting quietly together, all of it contributing to the city's collective exhale into night. The cafes are closing now, chairs being stacked, awnings rolled up, but without hurry, without noise. The shopkeepers sweep their doorsteps one last time, a ritual that's both practical and ceremonial, a way of saying goodnight to the day, to the street, to the city itself. The air is cooled to the perfect temperature, neither warm nor cold, but exactly what your body wants. It carries different scents now, night-blooming flowers from hidden gardens, the last wisps of chimney smoke, the clean smell of dew beginning to form. Each breath feels like a gift, a small miracle of oxygen and peace. We drift toward the river once more, finding a spot where we can sit and watch the water flow. The bridges are lit now, their arches reflected in the water, creating perfect circles, wholeness, completion. The castle glows on its hill, looking less like a fortress and more like a vision, something dreamed rather than built. Your eyelids are growing heavier now, and that's perfectly fine, perfectly natural. This city has been here for 1,000 years. It will be here tomorrow. There's no need to see everything, no need to hold on to anything. Prague itself is teaching you the art of letting go, of trusting that beauty will remain, that peace will return. The stars are appearing overhead, the same stars that have watched over this city through all its changes. They don't hurry across the sky. They simply are, points of light in the darkness, reminders that even the vastest spaces can be peaceful, can be home. Find yourself settling deeper into wherever you're sitting, or perhaps you're lying on the soft grass now, feeling completely supported, completely safe. The city holds you like a gentle hand, like a boat on calm water. There's nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to do. Just rest here in this perfect moment, between day and night, between waking and sleeping. The sounds of the city are becoming more distant, more dreamlike. A tram in the distance, its bell a soft chime, footsteps somewhere, unhurried, peaceful. The river's constant whisper, saying nothing and everything, speaking in a language older than words, a language your body understands without translation. And now, dear traveler, as our journey through the magical city of Prague comes to its natural close, feel yourself settling even deeper into peace, into rest, into the profound comfort of knowing you've explored one of the world's most beautiful cities, not with rush or urgency, but with the slow appreciation it deserves. Prague will remain here, eternal and patient, its cobblestone streets waiting for tomorrow's footsteps, its spires reaching toward tomorrow's sky. But for now, for you, it's time to rest, to let all these images and impressions settle gently into your memory, like sediment in still water, becoming part of your inner landscape, part of your dreams. The city sleeps around you now, or perhaps it never truly sleeps, but simply becomes quieter, more introspective. The buildings stand like gentle guardians, their windows dark except for the occasional soft glow. Someone reading, someone unable to sleep, finding comfort in the night's embrace just as you are. Let your breathing match the rhythm of the sleeping city, slow, deep, peaceful. Each exhale releases any remaining tension, any need to hold on, any desire to be anywhere but here, in this perfect moment of rest. Each inhale brings the cool night air, the peace of Prague, the tranquility of centuries into your body. The Vltava continues its eternal journey, and you can rest knowing that rivers don't hurry. They reach the sea in their own time, teaching us that the journey itself is the destination, that every moment of flow is complete in itself, perfect in itself. If thoughts drift through your mind like clouds across Prague's sky, let them. Don't hold them. Don't push them away. Just observe them gently, the way you might watch leaves floating on the river, interesting for a moment, then gone, replaced by the next, and the next, until there's only the peaceful flow. The castle on its hill has watched over millions of peaceful nights like this one. It has seen empires rise and fall, has weathered storms and celebrations, and through it all has remained solid, patient, eternal. Let its permanence comfort you, remind you that some things endure, that beauty persists, that peace always returns. The bridges of Prague continue their patient work of connection, joining one bank to another, one person to another, past to present, waking to sleeping. They don't strain to hold their arches. They simply rest in their own perfect engineering, their own balance, teaching us that strength can be restful, that holding can be effortless when we find the right position. Somewhere in the city, the astronomical clock continues its ancient counting, its mechanisms turning with the same rhythm they've maintained for 600 years, not rushing toward the future, not holding on to the past, simply marking this moment, and this one, and this one. Each tick a gentle reminder that time can be a friend, a companion, a lullaby. The gardens and parks of Prague are deep in their nighttime breathing, the trees exhaling oxygen, the flowers closing their petals, the grass accepting the dew, everything in its natural cycle, everything in its proper time, including your rest, including your peace, including this gentle transition from waking to sleeping. Let yourself drift now, like a boat on the Vltava. No need to steer, no need to row. The current knows where to take you, toward deeper rest, toward peaceful dreams, toward the restoration that comes with true rest. Prague fades but doesn't disappear. It simply becomes internal, a city you can visit whenever you close your eyes, whenever you need peace. The cobblestones beneath your feet transform into clouds beneath your floating body. The spires become gentle fingers pointing toward stars that are also within you, lights in your own internal sky. The bridges become the connections between your thoughts, graceful arches of understanding that need no words. Rest now. Rest deeply. Rest completely. Prague will be here when you return, patient as stone, gentle as water, eternal as the stars above its spires. But for now, let go. Let yourself sink into the profound peace that comes from knowing you've traveled well, explored gently, and found the tranquility that was always waiting for you. The city's lullaby continues, soft and wordless, made of river sounds and wind through leaves, of distant bells and the settling of ancient stones. It's a song that has been playing for 1,000 years, and will play for 1,000 more. But right now, in this moment, it plays just for you, just to guide you into peaceful, restful, restorative sleep. Sleep now, surrounded by the beauty of Prague, held by its history, cradled by its peace. Let your dreams be of cobblestone streets that lead always to beauty, of rivers that flow always toward peace, of cities that wait patiently through time, offering their gifts to anyone who approaches with a quiet heart, a gentle spirit, a readiness to rest. Good night, peaceful wanderer. May your sleep be as deep as Prague's history, as gentle as its river, as beautiful as its 1,000 spires reaching toward the stars. Rest now. Rest well. Rest in the eternal peace of this magical city, this gentle guardian of dreams, this Prague that lives now as much in your peaceful slumber as in the world of waking. Rest, rest, rest. Welcome, peaceful wanderer, to another gentle journey with the sleeping wanderer. Tonight we're traveling together to the enchanting blue pearl of Morocco, Chefchaouen, where time moves slowly through azure alleyways and every breath brings deeper calm. There's no rush, no agenda, just a peaceful exploration of this mountain sanctuary that will carry you gently toward rest. Before we begin our restful adventure together, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, but only if you truly enjoy these sleepy travels. And drop a comment below telling me which magical destination you want us to visit next. As we settle into this journey through Chefchaouen, nestled high in Morocco's Rif Mountains, let your breathing become slower, deeper. Allow your body to sink comfortably into wherever you're resting right now, whether you're tucked into bed or relaxing in your favorite chair. Know that for the next hour, you have nowhere else to be, nothing else to do, except wander peacefully through the blue-washed streets of this remarkable mountain town. Chefchaouen awaits us with its endless shades of blue, from the palest sky blue to the deepest indigo, painting every wall, every doorway, every step. This is a place where the mountains embrace a town that seems to have captured pieces of the sky itself, where each corner reveals another peaceful shade of tranquility. Tonight, we'll explore Chefchaouen not as hurried tourists, but as peaceful dreamers. We'll walk slowly through the Medina's blue maze as the first light of dawn touches the mountain peaks. We'll sit in quiet squares where fountains bubble gently. We'll discover hidden corners where cats sleep in pools of sunlight, and the only sound is the distant call to prayer floating on the mountain breeze. The beauty of Chefchaouen is that it reveals itself slowly, peacefully. There's no need to rush from site to site. Instead, we'll let the town unfold before us like a gentle dream, painted in every shade of blue imaginable. We'll pause whenever we want to simply breathe in the atmosphere, to notice the small details that make this place so special. The brass door knockers shaped like the hand of Fatima, the potted plants adding splashes of green against the blue, the soft sound of water flowing through ancient fountains. As we prepare to enter the heart of Chefchaouen, imagine yourself standing at the edge of the Medina just before dawn. The air is cool and fresh, carrying with it the scent of wild herbs, from the surrounding mountains, mixed with the faint aroma of baking bread. The town is still sleeping, wrapped in the gentle embrace of pre-dawn darkness. But you can sense the approaching day, feel the mountains beginning to lighten, hear the first birds starting their morning songs. Chefchaouen is a place that understands the art of peaceful living. Even in its busiest moments, there's a tranquility here that seems to flow from the mountains themselves, from the blue walls that surround you, from the gentle rhythm of life that has continued unchanged for centuries. Tonight we'll find these peaceful rhythms together. We'll explore not just what to see in Chefchaouen, but how to experience it in the most restful, peaceful way possible. The first light is beginning to touch the peaks of the Rift Mountains now, painting them in soft shades of rose and gold. This light will slowly descend, flowing like honey down the mountainsides, until it reaches the blue walls of Chefchaouen, transforming them, making them glow with an inner light that seems almost magical. You arrive in Chefchaouen as the dawn begins to break over the Rift Mountains. The first thing you notice is the quality of the air, crisp and clean, carrying the scent of cedar and wild thyme from the surrounding peaks. Each breath feels like drinking from a mountain spring, pure, refreshing, deeply calming. The blue begins subtly at first, a painted doorway here, a wash of color there. But as you move deeper into the Medina, it surrounds you completely. Every surface has been lovingly painted in shades of blue, from powder blue to cerulean, from azure to indigo. The effect is like walking through a dream, or perhaps swimming through a peaceful sky. Your feet find their rhythm on the smooth stones, worn by centuries of footsteps. The streets are narrow here, intimate, designed not for vehicles, but for people, for donkeys carrying supplies, for cats padding silently from shadow to shadow. The sound of your steps echoes gently off the blue walls, creating a soft rhythm that accompanies your journey. The buildings rise around you in organic curves and angles, following the natural contours of the mountainside. Nothing here was built in straight lines. Everything flows. Everything follows the landscape's natural suggestions. Windows are small and often covered with intricate iron grillwork, creating beautiful patterns of shadow and light on the blue walls. As the dawn light strengthens, you begin to notice the subtle variations in the blue. Some walls are painted in flat washes of color. Others show the brush strokes of their painters, creating texture, movement, life. Some blues are fresh and bright, recently renewed. Others have faded gently with time, creating a patina that speaks of years, decades, centuries of peaceful existence. The Medina is waking slowly around you. The first shopkeepers are beginning to open their doors, the metal shutters rolling up with gentle rumbles that echo through the narrow streets. But there's no hurry in these movements. Everything happens at its own pace, following rhythms as old as the town itself. A fountain appears in a small square, its water bubbling up from some hidden spring, flowing continuously, eternally. The sound is deeply soothing, a liquid lullaby that has been playing the same peaceful song for generations. Around the fountain, the blue walls create a perfect frame, making this simple water source feel like a shrine to tranquility. Cats begin to appear as the sun rises higher. They stretch languorously in doorways, padding silently along walls, finding the first patches of sunlight to warm themselves. They belong here as much as the blue paint, as much as the mountains, adding their own peaceful presence to the morning atmosphere. The call to prayer drifts across the Medina, not harsh or demanding, but gentle, melodic. It flows over the blue walls like water, filling the spaces between buildings, reminding everyone that this is a sacred time, a peaceful time, a time for reflection and gratitude. You climb some steps, the blue continuing even here, painting the risers and treads in alternating shades, creating a river of blue that you ascend slowly, peacefully. At the top, you pause to look back, and the view takes your breath away in the gentlest possible way. The Medina spreads below you, a sea of blue rooftops against the green mountains. It looks like a painting, but more beautiful, more peaceful than any artist could capture. The morning light is magical at this hour. It doesn't arrive all at once, but seeps into the Medina gradually, touching the highest points first, then slowly filling the streets, transforming the blue from mysterious pre-dawn shadows to glowing cerulean brilliance. The history of Chefchaouen flows through its blue streets like the mountain streams that gave it life. Founded in 1471, this mountain sanctuary was created as a fortress against Portuguese invasions, but it quickly became something more, a refuge, a place of peace hidden in the mountain's protective embrace. The town was established by Moulay Ali ben Rachid, a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, who recognized this valley's special quality, its natural defenses, its abundant water, its peaceful isolation. He didn't just build a fortress, he created a sanctuary where different cultures could blend, where peace could flourish. The original inhabitants were Moriscos and Jews fleeing the Spanish Reconquista, bringing with them the architectural styles of Al-Andalus, the memories of Granada, the longing for a peaceful place to continue their traditions. You can still see this Andalusian influence in the whitewashed walls beneath the blue, in the tile work, in the way houses cluster together like protective embraces. The blue that defines Chefchaouen today has its own gentle history. Some say Jewish refugees brought the tradition in the 1930s, painting their quarters blue to mirror the sky, to remind them of heaven, to maintain their connection to the divine. Others believe the blue repels mosquitoes, or that it represents the color of the sea, connecting this mountain town to distant waters. But perhaps the truth is simpler, more beautiful. The blue creates peace. It calms the mind, soothes the spirit, transforms ordinary walls into canvases of tranquility. Whatever its origins, the blue has become Chefchaouen's signature, its gift to all who wander its streets. For centuries, Chefchaouen remained isolated, almost secret. Christians were forbidden from entering on pain of death, creating a mystical reputation, a hidden city in the mountains, known only through whispers and legends. This isolation preserved its character, its peace, its unique beauty. The first European to survive a visit and tell about it was Charles de Foucault in 1883, disguised as a Jewish rabbi. He spent only an hour in the town, but his descriptions captivated the outside world. He wrote of a place suspended in time, where blue walls created corridors of peace, where mountain air carried the scent of paradise. When Spanish troops arrived in 1920, they found a town that had changed little in 400 years, still isolated, still peaceful, still maintaining its own gentle rhythms. The Spanish occupation brought some modernization, but couldn't change Chefchaoan's essential character. The blue walls continued to be painted, the fountains continued to flow, the mountains continued their eternal watch, the Jewish community that had lived here for centuries, contributing to its character, its traditions, its blue walls, gradually departed after Morocco's independence. But their influence remains in the architecture, in the blue paint that continues to be renewed, in the peaceful coexistence that defined the town for so long. Today's Chefchaoan carries all these histories within its blue embrace. Berber traditions blend with Andalusian architecture. Islamic faith mingles with Jewish memories. Mountain culture meets artistic expression. All of it painted in endless shades of blue. All of it contributing to the town's unique peace. The tradition of painting continues. Each spring, residents refresh the blue, adding new layers to the old. Each brush stroke is an act of devotion, of community, of maintaining something precious. The paint is mixed with lime, giving it a chalky texture that seems to absorb light, to glow from within. Walking through Chefchaoan is walking through layers of time, but time that doesn't weigh heavily. Instead, it rests lightly on the blue walls, like mountain mist, present but not oppressive, visible but not overwhelming. The town doesn't live in its past, but with its past, carrying its history as gently as the mountains carry snow. The Rif Mountains themselves are part of this history. These ancient peaks have sheltered Chefchaoan for over 500 years, providing water, protection, isolation, beauty. The town exists because of the mountains, and in return, it reflects their peace, their permanence, their quiet strength. The architecture of Chefchaoan flows organically from its mountain setting, as if the buildings grew from the hillside rather than being constructed. Every structure follows the natural contours, creating a harmony between human habitation and mountain landscape that feels completely natural, completely peaceful. The Medina's layout defies modern logic but follows a deeper wisdom. Streets curve and wind, split and rejoin, climb and descend, following paths that feet found naturally over centuries. There's no grid here, no master plan, just an organic growth that mirrors the way water flows down the mountainside, finding the path of least resistance, creating beauty through natural movement. The blue walls that define Chefchaoan aren't uniform. Each building, each wall, each doorway has its own shade, its own texture. Some are smooth as silk, others rough with visible brushstrokes. Some blues are pure, others mixed with hints of green or purple, creating an infinite variety within the unified theme. Doorways deserve special attention. Each one is unique, framed with different patterns, different colors. Some are simple wooden doors painted blue to match the walls. Others are elaborate affairs with brass studs forming geometric patterns, with hand-shaped knockers, with small windows covered in intricate ironwork. Each door is an invitation, a promise of peaceful spaces beyond. The Grand Mosque stands in the heart of the Medina, its distinctive octagonal minaret rising above the blue houses. Unlike the square minarets common in Morocco, this one shows Andalusian influence, a reminder of the town's diverse heritage. The call to prayer from this minaret flows over the blue rooftops 5 times daily, marking time, creating rhythm, adding its voice to the town's peaceful soundtrack. Water is everywhere in Chefchaoan, Though often hidden, ancient channels run beneath the streets, feeding fountains that appear in unexpected places. The sound of water is constant but subtle, a gentle bubbling, a soft splash, a quiet trickle that provides a soothing underscore to daily life. The main square, Plaza Alta El Hammam, opens like a breath in the Medina's density. Here the blue walls step back, creating space for cafe terraces, for the ancient kasbah, for people to gather and rest. The square is paved with smooth stones that have been polished by centuries of footsteps. On one side, the kasbah's red walls provide the only significant break from the blue, a reminder of the town's defensive origins. Inside the kasbah, a garden offers another kind of peace. Trees provide shade, flowers add splashes of color, fountains create gentle music. It's a garden designed not to impress, but to soothe, to provide respite, to offer a green counterpoint to all the blue. The architecture adapts beautifully to the climate. Thick walls keep interiors cool in summer, warm in winter. Small windows prevent harsh sunlight, but allow gentle breezes. Flat roofs become terraces for drying clothes, for growing plants, for sitting in the evening to watch stars appear over the mountains. Natural springs feed the town's hammams, traditional bathhouses where steam and heat provide deep relaxation. The hammam architecture is simple, functional, focused on the essential experience of water, heat, cleansing, renewal. The blue continues even here, painted on exterior walls, creating a sense of continuity, of unified beauty. As you climb toward the edges of the Medina, the buildings become simpler, the blue sometimes giving way to natural stone. Here you can see how the town emerges from the mountain, how the constructed blends with the natural, how human habitation becomes part of the landscape. The Spanish mosque, built during the occupation, but never used, sits on a hill overlooking the town. Its architecture is simpler than Moroccan mosques, almost austere, but its position offers the most peaceful views. From here, you can see how Chefchaouen nestles in its valley, how the blue Medina contrasts with the green mountains, how everything exists in perfect balance. The surrounding mountains are architecture too, natural architecture that frames and protects the town. The peaks of Jebel al-Kala and Jebel Tisuka rise like ancient guardians. Their slopes are covered with cedar and fir, with wild herbs and flowers, with hidden springs and secret paths that invite peaceful exploration. The culture of Chefchaouen flows as gently as the mountain springs that feed it. Here in the blue Medina, life follows rhythms that have remained essentially unchanged for centuries. Rhythms that prioritize peace, community, and the simple pleasures of mountain living. The day begins early but slowly. As the first light touches the mountains, you hear the gentle sounds of morning preparation, water splashing as people perform ablutions, the soft swish of brooms as doorsteps are swept clean, the quiet greetings between neighbors, Sabah el Khair, good morning, exchanged with genuine warmth. The tradition of mint tea is central to life here, not just a beverage but a ritual, a meditation, a symbol of hospitality. The tea is prepared with careful attention, fresh mint leaves selected, sugar added generously, the pot raised high as tea is poured, creating a foam that shows proper preparation. The sound of tea being poured, the steam rising, the scent of mint filling the air. All of it contributes to moments of profound peace. In small shops throughout the Medina, craftsmen continue traditions passed down through generations. Weavers work their looms with rhythmic movements, creating blankets and jalabas in patterns that echo the mountains, the sky, the flowing water. The sound of weaving is deeply soothing. Click, clack, click, clack. A mechanical meditation that fills workshops with peaceful productivity. The wool comes from sheep that graze in the mountain meadows, brought down by shepherds who follow paths their ancestors walked. The wool is carded, spun, dyed with natural colors, though blue is rarely used in textiles, as if acknowledging that the walls have claimed that color entirely. Leather workers in small workshops craft bags and slippers, their hands moving with practiced precision. The leather is soft, supple, often dyed in warm browns and tans that complement the blue walls. The workshops smell of leather and dye, earthy scents that ground you, connect you to ancient traditions. The weekly market brings people from surrounding villages. Their arrival is gentle, unhurried. Donkeys laden with produce pick their way carefully down mountain paths. Women in traditional dress carry baskets of herbs, vegetables, homemade cheese. The market isn't loud or chaotic, but filled with quiet negotiations, friendly exchanges, the peaceful commerce of people who know each other. Food in Chefchaouen reflects its mountain setting, simple, nourishing, deeply satisfying. Tagines simmer slowly, filling the air with the scent of preserved lemons, olives, tender meat. Bread is baked fresh daily in communal ovens, the smell drifting through the blue streets, making mouths water, creating anticipation for simple meals made special by their freshness. The Berber influence is strong here, in the music that occasionally drifts from houses, in the patterns woven into textiles, in the way people move through space with an awareness of the mountains, the seasons, the natural world. Berber culture brings a deep connection to the land, a respect for nature's rhythms, an understanding that humans are part of something larger. Prayer punctuates the day, not as interruption, but as rhythm, as reminder to pause, to reflect, to be grateful. When the call to prayer sounds, some hurry to the mosque, while others simply pause in their activities, taking a moment of stillness. Everyone respects these moments, understanding their importance in maintaining the town's peaceful atmosphere. Children play in the narrow streets, their laughter echoing off blue walls. But even their games seem gentler here, influenced by the town's tranquil atmosphere. They kick balls carefully, avoiding shop displays. They chase each other through the maze of streets, but always with awareness, respect. They grow up understanding that this blue paradise requires care, consideration, community participation. Evenings bring families together, doors open to release the day's heat and allow cool mountain air to flow through homes. The smell of cooking mingles, creating a complex aroma that speaks of community, of shared life, of traditions maintained not through rigid rules, but through gentle repetition, through finding joy in simple routines. The tradition of henna continues here, especially for celebrations. Women gather to paint intricate patterns on hands and feet. The process is slow, meditative, requiring stillness as the henna dries. It's an excuse to sit together, to talk quietly, to maintain connections that strengthen the community's fabric. Music, when it appears, tends toward the contemplative, Nawa rhythms sometimes drift from a house, hypnotic and healing, or the sound of an oud being played slowly, thoughtfully. Music here isn't performance but expression, communication, a way of adding beauty to the everyday. Chefchaouen transforms itself with each passing hour, each changing season, like a living canvas that never presents the same picture twice. The blue walls may be constant, but the light that touches them, the shadows that play across them, the atmosphere that surrounds them shifts continuously, gently, creating endless variations on the theme of peace. Dawn in Chefchaouen is perhaps the most magical time. The mountains catch the first light while the Medina remains in shadow, creating a moment of anticipation, of gentle awakening. Then slowly, so slowly, the light descends, touching the highest terraces first, then flowing like honey down the blue walls, transforming them from mysterious pre-dawn purple to glowing morning azure. The morning air carries different scents with each season. In spring, it's the perfume of almond blossoms from trees scattered through the Medina, mixing with the ever-present mint. In summer, wild herbs from the mountains, thyme and rosemary, carried on warm breezes. Autumn brings the smell of wood smoke as chimneys begin their seasonal work. Winter adds the clean scent of snow from the peaks, though the Medina itself rarely sees snow. As the sun climbs higher, the blue walls begin their daily transformation. What was uniform in shadow becomes varied in sunlight. Each wall's texture is revealed. Brush strokes become visible. The places where many layers of paint have built up over years create subtle reliefs that catch the light differently. Midday in summer finds the Medina seeking shade. The narrow streets become blessed corridors of coolness. The blue seems to radiate coolness, a psychological effect perhaps, but no less real for being in the mind. Cats find the remaining shadows, stretching out on cool stones. Their presence adds to the atmosphere of peaceful siesta, but midday in winter is different. The sun is welcome then, and people seek it out, sitting in squares where sunlight pools, warming themselves on benches. The blue walls seem to store the warmth, releasing it slowly as afternoon fades. The mountains might be cold, even snow-capped, but the Medina maintains its own microclimate of relative warmth. Afternoon light in Chefchaouen has a special quality, especially when filtered through the mountain atmosphere. It becomes golden, almost tangible, transforming the blue walls into something that seems lit from within. This is when photographers appear, trying to capture what can't really be captured. The way light and blue combine to create pure visual peace. Spring brings rain to Chefchaouen, but it's gentle rain, mountain rain that falls softly, steadily. The blue walls darken when wet, becoming deeper, more mysterious. The sound of rain on tile roofs, on cobblestones, in fountains creates a symphony of water that soothes the soul. After rain, the air is impossibly fresh, and the blue seems renewed, refreshed, reborn. Summer evenings stretch long here. The heat of the day dissipates slowly, and people emerge from cool interiors to enjoy the perfect temperature that comes with the sunset. The blue walls hold the day's warmth, but no longer radiated oppressively. Instead, they seem to glow with stored sunlight, creating a gentle warmth that's purely comfortable. Autumn in Chefchaouen is perhaps the most peaceful season. The tourists thin out, the weather remains perfect, and the mountains surrounding the town turn golden. The contrast between the blue Medina and the autumn mountains is breathtaking in the quietest way, like a whispered revelation of beauty. The blue walls seem to change with the seasons too. In spring they appear fresh, hopeful. In summer they're cooling, soothing. Autumn makes them contemplative, deeper. Winter transforms them into something protective, embracing, holding warmth against the mountain cold. Twilight is magical, regardless of season. This is when the blue walls perform their most mysterious transformation. As daylight fades, the blue deepens, becomes purple, then indigo, then merges with the darkening sky until you can't tell where walls end and night begins. It's a time of gentle dissolution, of boundaries becoming fluid. The sounds of Chefchaouen change with the time of day too. Morning brings the sounds of preparation, water, sweeping, quiet conversation. Midday might be nearly silent, except for the fountain's constant bubbling. Afternoon adds the sounds of children returning from school. Evening brings the clatter of cooking, the call to prayer, the gentle hum of families gathering. Night in Chefchaouen is profoundly peaceful. The blue walls disappear into darkness, except where touched by lamplight, creating pools of mysterious blue glow. Stars appear brilliant above the Medina, undimmed by city lights. The mountains are felt more than seen, a presence, a protective embrace around the sleeping town. Each season brings its own festivals, its own rhythms, but all are celebrated gently here. Even during busy times, Chefchaouen maintains its essential tranquility, as if the blue walls absorb excess energy, transform it into something calmer, more peaceful, away from the main paths through the Medina. Chefchaouen reveals its most intimate secrets, quiet corners where the blue seems deeper, more mysterious, where time doesn't just slow but seems to stop entirely. These hidden gems aren't marked on maps. They're discovered by wandering, by following instinct, by turning down that narrow alley that seems to lead nowhere special. Behind an unmarked door, you might find a small courtyard where an ancient fountain whispers constantly. The blue here is layered, decades of paint creating a patina that can't be replicated, only earned through time. A single orange tree grows in the center, its bright fruit a startling contrast to all the blue. Cats sleep in the dappled shade, completely at peace. There's a particular terrace, reached by climbing worn stone steps that seem forgotten, where you can sit completely alone, even when the Medina below bustles with the visitors. The blue walls create a private box seat for watching clouds drift over the mountains, for observing eagles circling on thermals, for doing absolutely nothing but breathing mountain air and existing in perfect peace. In the lower Medina, where tourists rarely venture, life continues in rhythms unchanged for generations. Here, the blue is less pristine, more lived in, but somehow more beautiful for its imperfection. Paint flakes in places, revealing layers beneath like geological strata of blue. Each layer represents someone's decision to continue the tradition, to add their contribution to the collective beauty. A tiny mosque, used only by locals, has a fountain that's said to have healing properties. The water is ice cold, flowing directly from a mountain spring. People come to wash, to drink, to sit quietly beside the flowing water. The blue walls around the fountain are worn smooth by countless hands, polished to an almost marble-like finish. Following the sound of water leads to hidden fountains throughout the Medina. Some are elaborate, decorated with tiles and geometric patterns. Others are simple spouts in walls where water flows eternally. Each one creates its own micro-environment of coolness, of negative ions, of deep tranquility. There's a workshop where an old man continues to mix the blue paint in traditional ways. Lime and pigment ground, together with techniques passed down through his family. The workshop smells of minerals and tradition. The walls here aren't just blue, but every shade of blue. Samples and experiments covering every surface. A cathedral of color, high in the Medina, where houses cling precariously to the hillside. Small gardens thrive in impossible spaces. Herbs grow in pots painted blue to match the walls. Jasmine vines create fragrant curtains. These gardens are tended with love, watered with precious carried water, creating green oases in the blue maze. A particular alley, too narrow for two people to pass comfortably, creates an acoustic phenomenon. Sounds from the main Medina don't penetrate here. Instead, you hear only your own breathing, your footsteps, the subtle sound of air moving between blue walls. It's like entering a meditation chamber constructed accidentally through architecture. The old hammam, less visited than newer ones, maintains traditions strictly. The blue paint continues inside the entrance, gradually giving way to ancient stone, worn smooth by centuries of steam and water. The heat here seems gentler, more penetrating. The attendant moves with practiced grace, maintaining rituals of cleansing that are as much spiritual as physical. Near the river that runs below the Medina, mills that once ground grain stand silent but not abandoned. The blue paint has reached even here, decorating walls that few see. The water still turns the wheels occasionally, creating a rhythmic creaking that sounds like the town's heartbeat. Sitting here, you feel connected to all the generations who brought grain to these mills. A small library, private but welcoming, holds manuscripts about the town's history. The reading room's walls are painted in the palest blue, almost white, creating a sense of expansion, of breathing space for the mind. The only sounds are pages turning, the scratch of a pen taking notes, the gentle tick of an old clock. Behind the Spanish mosque, trails lead into the mountains. But just before leaving the town entirely, there's a grove of ancient olive trees. Their gnarled trunks have witnessed all of Chefchaoan's history. The blue walls are visible through their branches, creating a perfect marriage of natural and human beauty. In certain doorways, usually in early morning or late evening, you might see women painting the blue. Their movements are meditative, rhythmic. They don't paint to cover but to honor, to continue, to participate in something larger than themselves. Watching them work is deeply calming, like watching a prayer made visible. These hidden corners teach Chefchaoan's deepest lesson, that peace isn't found in grand gestures but in small moments, in quiet spaces, in the decision to paint a wall blue not because it must be done, but because it should be done, because beauty matters, because tranquility is worth creating and maintaining. The blue walls of Chefchaoan hold stories like the mountain holds mist, gently, mysteriously, ready to share them with those who listen with quiet hearts. These aren't dramatic tales of conquest or conflict, but gentle legends that have settled into the town's consciousness, like sediment in still water. The most persistent legend explains the blue itself. They say a beautiful woman named Lala Jumua came to Vltava centuries ago. She had eyes the color of the sky after rain, and wherever she looked, walls turned blue in reflection of her gaze. She was a healer, a wise woman who knew the secrets of mountain herbs. People painted their walls blue to honor her, to invite her blessing, to remember that healing comes from beauty. Another story tells of a sultan's daughter who loved a poor weaver. Their love was forbidden, but she would signal him by hanging blue cloth from her window. One day, discovered, she was locked away, but the townspeople painted their walls blue in solidarity, in recognition that love makes everyone equal. The blue became a symbol of compassion, of community support for those who love. The fountain in the main square has its own legend. During a terrible drought, a holy man prayed for 7 days and 7 nights beside the dry fountain. On the 7th dawn, water began to flow, not dramatically but gently, steadily, enough for everyone if shared wisely. The fountain has never run dry since, teaching that patience and faith bring their own rewards. There's a particular blue door, painted deeper than the rest, that's said to be a portal to peaceful dreams. Children who are troubled by nightmares are brought to touch this door, to whisper their fears to it. The door absorbs the bad dreams, transforms them, returns them as peaceful sleep. Whether you believe or not, the door's paint is worn smooth by countless small hands. The mountains themselves feature in many stories. They say the peaks are actually sleeping giants, protectors of Vltava, who will wake only if the town is truly threatened. Until then, they sleep peacefully, their breathing creating the mountain mists, their dreams manifesting as the wildflowers that carpet the slopes each spring. A white cat that appears throughout the Medina is said to be the spirit of the town itself, always clean despite walking everywhere, always calm despite the dogs, always finding the best spot of sunlight. Following this cat supposedly leads to unexpected beauty, to hidden corners, to moments of perfect peace. The tradition of mint tea has its own mythology. The first tea in Vltava was brewed by angels, they say, who wanted to give humans a taste of paradise. But humans could only bear a diluted version, so mint was added to gentle the divine intensity, sugar to make it bearable for mortal tongues. The raising of the teapot while pouring isn't just technique, but recognition of the tea's heavenly origins. In the Kasbah garden grows a tree that's said to grant wishes, but only peaceful wishes. Wishes for wealth or power won't take root, but wishes for health, for love, for tranquility, bloom like the tree's flowers. People tie small blue ribbons to its branches, each one a gentle hope made visible. The weavers tell of a magical loom that weaves dreams into blankets. Anyone who sleeps under such a blanket will have only peaceful dreams. Dreams of flying over the blue Medina, of swimming through sky-colored streets, of understanding the language of mountains. The pattern that indicates a dream blanket is known only to the oldest weavers, passed down carefully, secretly. There's a spot where 7 different shades of blue meet, where 7 walls painted by 7 different families over 7 generations create a convergence of blues. Standing in this spot at sunset is said to bring 7 years of peace, not dramatic life changes, just a gentle tranquility that makes difficulties bearable, that transforms problems into opportunities for growth. The Spanish mosque, never used for worship, has become a shrine to missed connections, to what might have been. But rather than sadness, it represents acceptance, peace with imperfection. People come here to release regrets, to make peace with paths not taken. The unused mosque teaches that not everything must fulfill its intended purpose to have a value. Mountain springs each have their own spirits, their own personalities. One spring gives courage, another patience, another the ability to forget sorrow. But all require the same thing. You must approach quietly, respectfully, with an open heart. The springs don't grant dramatic transformations, but subtle shifts, gentle healings. The blue paint itself is said to be mixed with tears, but tears of joy, tears of recognition when beauty is encountered, tears of gratitude for simple pleasures. This is why the blue seems to glow with emotion, why it touches hearts so deeply. It carries the feelings of all who have contributed to it. These stories, whether believed literally or appreciated as metaphor, create an atmosphere where magic seems possible, but not necessary, where the line between reality and dream is painted in shades of blue, where peace comes not from extraordinary events, but from recognizing the extraordinary in the ordinary. As our journey through Chefchaouen begins to slow, like a mountain stream approaching a peaceful pool, we find ourselves drawn to the town's most restful spaces, those places designed not for doing, but for being, for settling into the deep tranquility that the blue walls have been guiding us toward all along. The evening is approaching now, and Chefchaouen is beginning its daily transformation into something even quieter, even more peaceful. The day visitors are departing, leaving the Medina to its residents, and to those who understand that the town's true magic reveals itself in the quiet hours, in the spaces between activities. We make our way slowly toward one of the town's hidden gardens, perhaps the one behind the old riad where roses climb blue walls, where the fountain's music becomes more prominent as other sounds fade. The bench here is positioned perfectly, facing west where the last light will paint the mountains gold, while the garden remains in peaceful shadow. Your body settles into this pause, feeling how the day's gentle wandering has prepared you for rest. Each step through the blue maze has been a meditation, each turn revealing another shade of peace. Now it's time to stop moving, to simply be present in this blue paradise. The air is cooling to the perfect temperature, that magical moment when it's neither warm nor cold, but exactly what your body wants. The scent of jasmine becomes stronger as evening approaches, mixing with mint from someone's tea, with bread from the ovens, with the clean mountain air that flows down from the peaks. A few cats appear, stretching after their afternoon naps, padding silently across the courtyard to investigate this peaceful visitor. They settle near, but not too near, understanding the need for quiet companionship that doesn't demand interaction. Their purring adds a gentle vibration to the evening symphony. The blue walls around you have deepened in color as the light fades, becoming something between blue and purple, between color and shadow. They seem to pulse gently with accumulated warmth from the day, releasing it slowly, creating a microclimate of perfect comfort. From somewhere nearby, you hear the evening call to prayer, but softly, as if muffled by the blue walls, by the approaching night. It's not a summons, but a lullaby, a gentle reminder that this is a time for reflection, for gratitude, for preparing the spirit for rest. The fountain continues its eternal song, water flowing from source to basin, from basin to drain, from drain back to the mountain, an endless cycle that requires no effort, No thought, just acceptance of natural flow. The sound becomes hypnotic, washing away thoughts, leaving only peaceful presence. Stars are beginning to appear above the Medina. First one, then another. Then suddenly the sky is full of them, brilliant in the clear mountain air. Each star is watched over Chefchaouen for countless nights, each one a guardian of sleep, a keeper of dreams. The blue walls have almost disappeared into darkness now, but you can still feel them, their presence, their peace. They've become less visual and more spiritual, less about color and more about the feeling of being held, protected, cradled in beauty. Your breathing has slowed to match the rhythm of the place, the slow pulse of mountain time. Each inhale brings the cool night air deep into your lungs. Each exhale releases any remaining tension, any need to be anywhere else, to do anything more. The sounds of the Medina settling into night are deeply soothing. Doors closing gently, footsteps fading into distance. The last vendors packing up their wares with quiet efficiency. Everything winding down, everything preparing for rest. You might move to lie down now, finding a comfortable position where you can watch the stars through the garden's opening to the sky. The ground beneath you is solid, supportive, connected to the mountains that have stood here for millions of years. You're held by something ancient, eternal, infinitely peaceful. The blue of Chefchaouen has worked its magic, not dramatically but gently, the way water shapes stone, through patient persistence, through gentle repetition. You've absorbed the peace of the blue walls, the tranquility of mountain life, the wisdom of a place that knows the value of slowness. Let yourself drift now, like mist flowing down from the mountains, like the blue paint flowing from brush to wall. There's nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to do. The blue city will continue its quiet existence whether you're awake or asleep, and that continuity is deeply comforting. And now, dear traveler, as our peaceful journey through the blue pearl of Chefchaouen comes to its natural close, feel yourself settling even deeper into rest, into the profound tranquility that comes from spending time in one of the world's most peaceful places. The blue walls have shared their secret with you, the understanding that peace isn't something you find, but something you allow, something you accept, something that's always available when you stop rushing, stop seeking, stop everything except being. Chefchaouen will remain here in its mountain cradle, its walls being repainted blue each spring, its fountains flowing eternally, its cats finding new patches of sunlight. But for now, for you, it's time to rest, to let all these blue images settle into your dreams, like paint settling into plaster. The mountains continue their ancient watch, patient and protective. They've seen centuries pass, watched the town grow from fortress to sanctuary, observed countless peaceful days and tranquil nights. Their presence is deeply comforting, a reminder that some things endure, that peace persists, that beauty continues. Let your breathing become even slower now, matching the rhythm of sleeping Chefchaouen. Each breath is like a brushstroke of blue, painting peace across your consciousness, covering any remaining tension with layer after layer of tranquility. The mint tea you imagined tasting, the fountains you heard bubbling, the blue walls you touched in your mind, all of it has been preparing you for this moment of perfect rest. The journey through the Medina was always leading here, to this place of complete peace. If thoughts drifted through your mind like clouds over the Rift Mountains, Let them. Don't hold them. Don't push them away. Just observe them gently the way you observed the blue walls, noticing their color, their texture, then letting your attention move on, always returning to the peace, the blue, the rest. The sound of water continues, will always continue. The eternal fountain that needs no effort, no maintenance, just acceptance. Let this sound carry you deeper into rest, each bubble, each splash, each drop taking you further from waking, closer to dreams painted in every shade of blue. Somewhere in Vltava, someone is sleeping peacefully under a hand-woven blanket. Someone else is drinking the last sip of evening tea. Someone is painting a wall blue by moonlight, continuing the tradition, maintaining the beauty. Life continues its gentle rhythm, and you're part of it now, part of the peace. The stars above the Medina are the same stars above you, wherever you are. Connection across distance, peace that transcends place. The blue of Vltava exists now in your memory, in your imagination, available whenever you need to return to tranquility. Rest now. Rest deeply. Rest completely. Let the blue walls hold you. Let the mountain air fill your lungs. Let the sound of fountains wash away everything except peace. You've traveled far today, through narrow streets and hidden gardens, past blue walls and flowing fountains. It's time to stop, to rest, to dream. Your body is completely relaxed now, completely supported, every muscle soft, every breath easy, every heartbeat slow and steady. You're safe in the blue embrace of Vltava, held by centuries of peace, protected by mountains, blessed by beauty. The blue deepens into the blue of night, of sleep, of dreams. There's no boundary anymore between you and the peace. You've become part of it, dissolved into it, like pigment dissolving into water, creating new shades of tranquility. Sleep now, surrounded by blue walls that exist as much in your dreams as in Morocco, carried by the sound of fountains that flow through your rest, held by mountains that stand guard over your peace. This is the gift of Vltava, the understanding that peace is always available, always waiting, always as close as your next breath. The blue continues in your dreams, endless variations, infinite shades, each one a different quality of peace, of rest, of release. You're painting your own walls now, creating your own sanctuary, your own blue pearl of tranquility. Good night, peaceful wanderer. May your sleep be as deep as the blue of Vltava, as restful as its fountains, as protected as its mountain setting. Rest now in the certainty that beauty exists, that peace endures, that somewhere in the Rif Mountains of Morocco, blue walls continue to offer their blessing to all who seek tranquility. Rest, rest, rest in the blue embrace of perfect peace.
you